Today we will learn what data is and how they are recorded and observed. In our daily life, we see various types of tables, such as a table containing the names of the players and the number of medals they have won, number, name and time of arrival and departure of trains, table showing number of boys and girls in classes, etc. All these tables provide us data. We use data to get information. For example, look at this table showing the number of boys and girls in classrooms. Can you say what information we get to know with the help of this table? Think for a while. With the help of this table, we get various informations like there are 15 boys and 12 girls in class 6. There are 14 boys and 13 girls in class 7. Similarly, the table can also be used to compare numbers, such as the number of boys in class 6 is more than the number of girls. Similarly, the number of girls in class 7 is 1 more than the number of girls in class 6. With this understanding, we can say that data is a collection of numbers that are gathered to provide some information. Just think, how can we get information from a collection of numbers? Let us understand this with an interesting example. Suppose you want to find out which is the most preferred sport in your class. How would you find this? Think for a while. For this, you have to find out which sport is liked by each student in your class. Suppose there are 16 students in your class. You can ask each student about their preferred sport. Or you can use some convenient method or device like writing their name and preferred sport on a slip. By using any of these methods, you will know the preferred sport of each student. For convenience, we store the information received on a medium such as a notebook. As shown here, the student's name and his preferred sport is given. The process by which we collect information related to a subject is called data recording. From this, we get the raw data. Sometimes, it is not easy to draw any conclusion from the raw data collected. From this data collected, will you be able to tell which sport is the most preferred in the class? This is difficult to detect. Similarly, if the number of students in the list increases, then it becomes even more difficult. In such a situation, we need to organize the data properly so that we can understand and use the data obtained more effectively. Here, we will write the names of the sports on one side and as many tally marks as the students who like them will be made beside them. Now look at this. We may have difficulty counting these lines. To make it easier, we make groups of vertical lines. Generally, groups of 5 lines are easier to understand. So let's make groups of 5. For simplicity, we will use the 5th count as a slanting line. We call these signs as tally marks. Now, can you tell which is the preferred sport? Think for a while. Here the maximum number of tally marks are at this point, and the count is 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. Thus, cricket has the most tally marks. So, we come to the conclusion that the most preferred sport in the class is cricket. Similarly, we can draw several conclusions. For example, the least preferred sport here is Kho-Kho. Now you must have understood that data is a collection of numbers which are gathered to give some information. The process by which we collect information related to a subject is called data recording. It is not easy to draw any conclusion from the raw data collected. Hence, the organization of data is required. So today we have learned what data is and how they are recorded and observed. Today we will see examples of data, meaning, recording and observation. In a science examination, 40 being the maximum marks, 26 students scored the following marks. Find out how many students have scored less than 25 marks. How many students have scored more than 30 marks? Here are the marks obtained by 26 students. We have to find out how many students have got less than 25 marks and how many got more than 30 marks. Information is shown here randomly. We can also answer by counting directly, but this way there is a high possibility of mistakes in counting. For this, we have to organize the data into a table by which the questions asked can be answered easily. Also, the mistakes that would occur can be reduced. For this, we will need to put the numbers into a table. We will create two columns in the table, one for the digits and the other for the number of students. And we will organize the given information one by one in the table. Now the table is ready, and from the table, we can easily know that 10 students have obtained marks less than 25. 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 10. And 7 students have obtained marks more than 30. 5 plus 2 is equal to 7. Next example. Time taken by 30 students to complete a 2-kilometer athletic competition is expressed in the given table. Tabulate this information using tally marks. For this, we will make a table like this. In this, the first column will show the time in minutes, the second column will show the tally marks, and the third column will show the number of students. Now we will find the smallest number from the given list. Here, 4 is the smallest number. So, we will write it in the first row in the column of time. Now we will continue to search for 4 in the given list. We can see 4 here. We will cut it so that we do not count it again. At the same time, we will draw a vertical line in the tally marks column of the table which shows that 4 has occurred once. Similarly, we will search for 4 and draw tally marks. We see that there are 4 tally marks here, which means that in the given numbers, the number 4 has occurred 4 times. There are no more 4s left. Now we will find out which of the given numbers is greater than 4 but smaller than the rest of the given numbers. This number is 5. So, we will write 5 in the second row of the time column. Again, we will continue to count 5 and make tally marks. By looking at the tally marks, we can find that the number 5 has occurred 6 times. Similarly, we will complete the entire table, by which we know that the next number is 6, for which we will continue to cut 6 in this way and make tally marks. By looking at the tally marks, we know that the number 6 has occurred 5 plus 3 is equal to 8 times. Similarly, counting the number 7, we will draw tally marks. From this process, we know that 7 has appeared 5 plus 5 is equal to 10 times. Next, we will draw the tally marks counting 9. We know that this number has occurred twice. In this way, we have tabulated the information using tally marks. Remember that it is not necessary that we make the tables in order from small to large, but if we arrange the table from small to large, it will look neat. Today we have seen examples of data, meaning, recording, and observation. In the next video, we will see misconceptions related to them. Today we will see misconceptions related to data, their recording, and organization. Misconception 1. What count does this tally mark represent? The tally mark shown here has a slant line drawn on 4 straight lines. When the lines are drawn diagonally, some children feel that the lines have been cut. That is, these tally marks are not to be counted. Hence, they don't count this tally mark and select the first option, which is the wrong answer. Similarly, some children have the understanding that only the straight lines are to be counted in the tally mark and not to count the slant line. Therefore, they only count straight lines and do not count the slanting line. As there are 4 straight lines in the tally mark as shown, and there is a slant line on the lines, so they count this sign as 4. That is, they choose the second option, and this is also the wrong answer. Actually, the tally marks representing the number 4 have only 4 straight lines. That is, when the tally marks show 4 straight lines, its count is 4. If a slanted line is drawn on 4 lines, then the slanted line in the tally mark indicates 5th count. That is, this type of tally mark is counted as 5, and the third option is the correct answer. Misconception 2. Identify the tallying mark representing the number 10. A slanting line is drawn on 4 straight lines to represent the number 5 in the tally mark. But some children may not get the right way to express tally marks. They draw a slanting line on 5 straight lines to represent the number 5. In this way, they understand that in option 1, slanting line has been drawn on 2 groups of 5 to represent the number 10. So, they choose the first option, which is the wrong answer. Remember that it is wrong to draw 5 vertical lines and slanting line when showing the tally marks. The correct understanding is that a slanting line is drawn on 4 straight lines to represent the number 5 in the tally marks. Therefore, A slanting line is drawn on two groups of four straight lines to represent the number 10. Here, in option 2, you can see this type of representation. From this representation, we get to know that this is 5 plus 5, which equals to 10. That means option 2 is the correct answer. Today we saw misconceptions related to data, their recording, and organization. Today we will learn about pictograph. In the previous video, we learned that data are collection of numbers which are collected to give some information. The process by which we collect information related to a subject is called data recording. It is not easy to draw any conclusions from the information collected in the form of raw data. Therefore, we go for organization of data. Today, we will understand an interesting way to represent data. Look at this table. In this table, the ice cream vendor has shown the name and the number of ice creams sold. Pause the video and try to understand it. We are given that this image represents 5 ice creams. Here, in the row of strawberry ice cream, 5 such images are drawn. Now, tell me, how many strawberry ice creams did the ice cream vendor sell? Correct. He sold 5 multiplied by 5 is equal to 25 strawberry ice creams. Similarly, find the number of ice creams of the other type. Is it easy? Yes, it is very easy. Here, in the row of chocolate ice cream, 6 images are drawn, which means that the ice cream vendor sold 6 multiplied by 5 is equal to 30 chocolate ice creams. This table helps us understand the data just by looking at it. Numbers are not represented in this table. But still, just by looking at the table, we can easily find the answer to the number-related questions. A table in which data is represented in the form of images, objects, or parts of objects is called a pictograph. In any pictograph, similar images are used to represent the data. At the same time, we are also given the value of an image using which we can understand the table. Using the pictograph, we can obtain a lot of information. Like, in the given pictograph, we can find the number of ice creams of each type sold by the ice cream vendor. At the same time, we can also compare them without knowing their numeric value. Like, can you tell me which type of ice cream was sold in highest number by the ice cream vendor? Think for a while. Correct. Here, maximum images are drawn in the row of chocolate ice cream. From this, one gets to know that the ice cream vendor sold the chocolate ice cream the most. Similarly, here we also see that least number of images are drawn in the row of mango ice cream. So, we can say that the ice cream vendor sold the mango ice cream the least. Can you tell how many more number of chocolate ice creams than the mango ice creams did the ice cream vendor sell? Think for a while. Correct. To find out, it's not required to find the exact number of both. We will subtract the number of images drawn in the row of mango ice cream from the number of images drawn in the row of chocolate ice cream, the result of which is 4. That is, 4 images more. And then, by multiplying 5 multiplied by 4, we obtain the number 20, which tells us that the ice cream vendor sold 20 chocolate ice creams more than the mango ice cream. Today we learned what is a pictograph. In the next video, we will understand how to draw them. Today we will learn how to draw a pictograph. Let's understand this with an example. In the previous video, we saw that a table in which data is represented in the form of images, objects, or parts of objects is called a pictograph. Today, let's understand how they are made. We will understand this with an example. Based on the choice of students in a school, the following table of the most favorite sport is drawn. Let's represent these figures with the help of a pictograph. To draw a pictograph, it's necessary to have data. Here, we are given the data, but if it is not given, then it's necessary that we collect the information related to the favorite sport and record the data from it. Now that we are given the data, we can move forward. To represent the data in a pictograph, we must take an image. Like, we can take a simple image like this. Then, we decide the value of this image. Here, we can take the value of one image as 1, or we can also use the image as multiple of units. Like here, we can take the value of an image as 3. If we take the value of an image as 3, then we can represent 2 as this and 1 as this. Just think, if we had replaced this image with this one, then would we be able to represent 2 and 1? Think for a while. No. Hence, we should always use simple images. So, let's draw a pictograph by using the value of this image as 3. We will draw a table. Here, the first column mentions the name of the sport or show its symbol, and the second column represent the number of students in the form of images. Like here, 12 students like cricket. We will divide this number by the value of the image. Here, 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4, and the remainder is 0. Therefore, we will represent the number of students in the row of cricket by making 4 signs. Will you now be able to represent the number of students who like playing football? Try it. Let me explain. Here, 10 divided by 3 is equal to 3, and the remainder is found as 1. So, we will show 9 by drawing 3 complete images and use this image to show the remaining 1. Similarly, 8 divided by 3 is equal to 2, and the remainder will be 2. In this way, we can represent 8. Similarly, we can represent 5 in this way. Thus, we have completed the pictograph. Now, you will easily be able to draw any pictograph. Today we learned how to draw a pictograph. In the next video, we will see examples related to it. Today we will see examples related to pictographs. The population of a village was 1,200 in 1981, 1,300 in 1991, 1,450 in 2001 and 1,525 in 2011. Use an image that represents 100 people. Represent the given information by drawing a pictograph. Let us first draw a pictograph from the given information. We will use this image to denote 100 people. We can divide this image in 2 or 4 equal parts, which will help us to represent the given data. In this way, we will represent 100 as a complete image. Since 50 is half of 100, we will represent 50 as half image. Similarly, we will represent 25 as a quarter of 100. According to the initial information, in 1981, the population was 1,200. We have used this image to show the number of 100 people. Accordingly, here 1,200 divided by 100 is equal to 12 will be obtained and remaining 0 will be the remainder. That is, 1,200 can be represented by making 12 such images. Similarly, we will represent 1,300 by making 13 such images. Since 1450 is equal to 1400 plus 50, we will use 14 images of this type for 1400 and half of this type for 50. Since 1525 is equal to 1500 plus 25, we will denote it by making 15 such images for 1500 and 25 with a quarter image. In this way, we have represented the given information by making a pictograph. Next example. In the pictograph shown below, the age of 4 people are represented in the form of images. If the age of Rahul is 23 years, then tell what will be the ages of Meera, Sarita and Happy. Here, we see that this image has been repeated many times. From this, we can understand that to represent the age, this image has been used. To solve the given question, we will have to find the age this image represents. That is, what is the value of this image? Can you tell me how will we do this? Think for a while. Let me explain. It's given that Rahul's age is 23 years. To find the value of the image, we will relate this number to the number of images indicated. We see that there are 4 circles in each of the 5 complete images here. In this way, there are a total of 5 multiplied by 4 is equal to 20 circles. And if we add the 3 circles of the last image, then we get 20 plus 3 is equal to 23. This number shows the age of Rahul. In this way, we can say that each image here represents the number 4. That is, the value of this image is 4. Since here 4 is represented as this and 3 is represented in this way, we get to know that the number of circles is the base here. To represent the age of Meera, 4 complete images and one such type of an image is given here. Can you tell what is the value of this image? Think for a while. Correct. It means 2. That is, Meera's age is equal to 4 multiplied by 4 plus 2 is equal to 18 years. Now, stop the video and find out what will be the age of Sarita and Happy. Here, Sarita's age will be 3 multiplied by 4 is equal to 12 years, and Happy's age will be 3 multiplied by 4 plus 1 is equal to 13 years. Today we saw examples related to pictographs. In the next video, we will clear some misconceptions related to them. Today we will see some misconceptions and errors related to pictographs. Misconception 1. The following pictograph shows the information regarding the student's favorite colors. Answer the following questions based on this information. 1. How many students like red color? Some children do not see the value of the symbol given in the pictograph or ignore it. They do not understand its importance. To find out how many students like red color, children count the number of symbols shown in the row of red color. Here, 5 symbols are shown, so they think that 5 children like red color. Therefore, they give the answer to the question as option 1, which is an incorrect answer. In this pictograph, we are given the value of the symbol O is equal to 4 students. That is, whenever we see an O, we will consider it as 4 students. Like, in the row of red color, we see the symbol O 5 times. So the number of students will be 5 multiplied by the value of one symbol is equal to 5 multiplied by 4 is equal to 20. Hence, red color is the favorite of 20 students. So, the correct answer is option 2. Question 2. How many students like green color? Children are not able to interpret this half symbol C in the green row of the pictograph. Some children ignore it, thinking it to be a printing mistake, which leads them to think that there is only one complete symbol in the green row. So, they get the answer as 4, which is an incorrect answer. Similarly, assuming printing error, some children consider the indicated symbols as 2 complete symbols and think that the students who like green color are 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So, they give the answer to this question as option 3, but this is also an incorrect answer. In this pictograph, we are given the value of a symbol O is equal to 4 students. That is, the value of half of the symbol O will be 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2 students. The row of green color has one full symbol O and a half symbol, that is C. Both the symbols together represents 4 students plus 2 students is equal to 6 students. Hence, option 2 is the correct answer. Now, let's understand the errors made while drawing a pictograph. Question: the number of times a particular score was obtained while playing a game is represented in the following table. represent this information in a pictograph. From the given information, a child made the following pictograph. Is there any error in this? Stop the video and think. Let me explain. Error 1. Some children forget to write the headings of the column while drawing the pictograph. Because the headings are not given, what information the pictograph represents is not known. Here, we can write the heading of the first column as score and the heading of the second column as count. This tells us that this is a pictograph to represent how many times a particular score was achieved in the game of dice. Error 2. Some children choose a symbol, assign a value to it, and create a pictograph. But they do not show the value of the symbol on the pictograph. This makes it difficult to read the pictograph. Therefore, it is necessary to indicate the value of the symbol on the pictograph. Error 3. Here, all the numbers are multiples of 4. Suppose we use this symbol. Think we had to represent 11, then we would have difficulty in representing 11 correctly with this symbol. So, we should always use simple symbols. For example, if we use this symbol, then we can easily represent 11 in this way. Today we saw some misconceptions and errors related to pictographs. Today we will learn about bar graph. In the previous video, we learned what is a pictograph and how is it drawn. Let's review it by using an interesting example. Suppose Rahul went to a shop and bought a book worth rupees 80, a notebook for rupees 18, and a chocolate for rupees 2. Will you be able to prepare a pictograph based on the information provided? Pause the video and try yourself. While drawing the pictograph based on the given situation, you must have experienced some difficulties. Like, what should be the value of the symbol? If you take the value of the symbol a small number, such as rupees 5, then you will find it easier to denote rupees 2 and rupees 18. But you will face difficulty while drawing many symbols to represent rupees 80. And if you take the value of the symbol a larger number, such as rupees 40, then you will easily be able to represent rupees 80. But you will face difficulty while representing rupees 2 and rupees 18. To overcome many such difficulties, we use bar graph. The bar graph for the given situation will be shown as follows. This bar graph shows the amount Rahul spent on various items. The bar graph has two axes, that is, the horizontal x-axis and the vertical y-axis. Here, the name of the objects is shown on the horizontal axis and the numerals on the vertical axis, which represent the value of the object. Here, the scale is 1 unit equals rupees 10. This means that 1 unit of length is for rupees 10. To show the value of the objects, bars of uniform width are drawn vertically with equal spacing, uniform distance between them. These are called bars. It is not necessary that the bar graph should be vertical. Instead, by interchanging the positions of the horizontal x-axis and the vertical y-axis, we can also show the bar graph horizontally. The length of the bar represents the given number. Like here, we can say that the first bar denotes the value of the book as rupees 80. The second bar denotes the value of the notebook as rupees 18, while the third bar denotes the value of the chocolate as rupees 2. Thus, we can say that the graphical method of representing the data where bars of uniform width are drawn horizontally or vertically with equal spacing between them, and the length of each bar represents the given number is called a bar diagram or a bar graph. Just think, what all information you can collect from a bar graph. Absolutely right. With the help of a bar graph, we can obtain different types of information. For instance, to find the number, to compare, etc. Today we learned about bar graph. In the next video, we will learn how to draw a bar graph. Today we will learn how to draw a bar graph. We will learn with the help of an example. Suppose the following table was prepared to find the most preferred spot based on the choice of students in a class. Let's represent these figures in the bar graph. Although we can draw bar graphs on blank paper, the use of graph paper makes it more convenient. Let us use graph paper. Step 1. On a piece of paper, draw two perpendicular lines where line OX is a horizontal line and line OY is a vertical line. Step 2. Along the horizontal line, we will write the names of the spots mentioned in the table, keeping uniform distance and write spots under it. In this way, we will show the spots on the horizontal line. Similarly, along the vertical line, we will mark the corresponding number of students. Step 3. Next, we will choose suitable scale along the vertical line. Here, 1 unit length represents 5 students. Therefore, we will choose the scale as 1 unit length is equal to 5 students. You can choose a suitable scale based on the number such that if the number of students is very less, then you can take 1 unit length is equal to 1 student. Similarly, if the number of students are large, then you can take 1 unit length is equal to 10 students. Remember, the scale provides us with the convenience to draw a bar graph. Since we have taken the scale 1 unit length is equal to 5 students, we mark multiples of 5 along the vertical line to represent the scale as 1 unit length is 5 students. The length of 2 units represent 10 students. Therefore, the number of students can be calculated by 5 multiplied by number of units. With this, we can also find the number of units by dividing the number of students by 5, which is the length of the bar. Step 4. So, let's find the length of the bars. Cricket, 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4 units. Football, 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3 units. Kabaddi, 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5 units. 10 is 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2 units. Step 5. Now we will draw the bars of uniform width for different sports at a uniform distance. For instance, for cricket, we will draw a bar of 4-unit length. Next, for football, we will draw a 3-unit length bar of the same width, keeping uniform distance. Can you tell us how will we draw a bar for Kabaddi? Think for a while. Absolutely right. Once again, we will draw a 5-unit length bar of same width, keeping a uniform gap between them. Similarly, for tennis, we will draw a bar of 2-unit length. This is how we obtain a bar graph. Remember, it is not necessary that a bar graph has to be vertical. Same data can be represented by interchanging positions of games and number of students. We can also show the bar graph horizontally. Looking at this bar graph, one can easily tell that Kabaddi is the most preferred sport in the class. Although we can draw a bar graph on a blank paper, the use of a graph paper provides convenience to draw a bar graph. Will you be able to illustrate this data using a bar graph on a graph paper? Try yourself. Today we learned how to draw a bar graph. In the next video, we will see some examples related to bar graph. Today we will see some examples related to bar graph. A bar graph is shown below. This graph refers to the sale of apples made by a fruit seller from Monday to Saturday. Read the graph and answer the following questions. First question. 1. What is the scale of this bar graph? We observe that here the scale is 1 unit length is equal to 1 kg. Second question. On which day were the maximum number of apples sold? In the given bar graph, we observe that the bar on Thursday is the longest. So we can conclude that the highest sale of apples were made on Thursday. Third question. How many kilos of apples did the fruit merchant sell on Monday and Tuesday? Monday is marked by 9 unit lengths of a bar and Tuesday by 10 units. Here we are given the scale 1 unit length is equal to 1 kg apples, which means 9 kgs of apples were sold on Monday and 10 kgs on Tuesday. To calculate the total sale made on Monday and Tuesday, we will add the total sale made on both days, which will result in 19 kgs. From this, we can infer that the fruit merchant sold 19 kgs of apples on Monday and Tuesday. Next example. Following table shows marks obtained by Arnav from class 6 to 10 in percentage. Draw a bar graph to represent the following information, choosing the scale of your choice. Step 1. On a piece of paper, draw 2 perpendicular lines where line OX is a horizontal line and line OY is a vertical line. Step 2. Along the horizontal line, we will mark the class and along the vertical line, mark the corresponding marks. Step 3. Next, we will choose a suitable scale along the vertical line. Here, 1 unit length represents 10%. Therefore, we will choose the scale as 1 unit length is equal to 10%. Step 4. Next, we will find the length of the bars. For class 6, length of the bar will be 60 divided by 10 is equal to 6 units. In the same way, we can find the length of the bar for class 7, class 8, class 9 and class 10. Step 5. Now we will draw bars of uniform width for different classes at a uniform distance. For instance, for class 6, we will draw a bar of 6 unit length. Next, for class 7, we will draw a 7 unit length bar of same width, keeping uniform distance. Similarly, for class 8, we will draw a bar of 7 unit length. Now, can you tell how will we draw a bar for class 9? Think for a while. You are absolutely right. 7.5 means 7 full units and 0.5 units means 5 parts out of 10 parts of 1 unit. Therefore, for class 9, we will draw a bar of 7.5 unit length in this way. In the same way, we will draw a bar of 8 unit length for class 10. Thus, we have obtained a bar graph for the given information. Today we saw some examples related to bar graph. In the next video, we will see some misconceptions and common mistakes related to this. Today we will see some misconceptions and common mistakes related to bar graph. Misconception 1. Find out which of the following is a bar graph. Here, the bars drawn in figure 1 are horizontal and the bars drawn in figure 2 are vertical. Some students believe that a bar graph can only be drawn vertically, not horizontally. Due to this misconception, they believe that figure 1 is not a bar graph. Instead, figure 2 is a bar graph. With this understanding, they choose option 1 as their answer to the given question, but this is an incorrect answer. The correct understanding is that in a bar graph, bars can be drawn either vertically or horizontally. Therefore, a bar graph is shown in both figures. Thus, option 2 is the correct answer. Misconception 2. A bar graph is given below. This graph shows average rainfall experienced in a village between the months of June and September. Read this graph and find out how much rain did the village receive in the month of September. Some students ignore the unit given in the bar graph and answer by counting only the box. Like here, they obtain the answer 9 mm, which is a wrong answer. Hence, option 1 is the incorrect answer. The correct understanding is that it is important to pay attention as to what scale is chosen when receiving information from the bar graph. For instance, here 1 unit is equal to 100 mm, meaning 1 unit length represents 100 mm rain. The height of the bar for September is 9 units, which means the month of September received 9 multiplied by 100 mm is equal to 900 mm rain. Thus, option 2 is the correct answer. Now let us understand some of the mistakes made while drawing a bar graph with the help of an example. Question. Observe the table given below which shows the total number of TVs sold by a shopkeeper in different years. Choose a scale of your choice and illustrate this data using a bar graph. Mistake 1. Some students fail to choose a suitable scale while choosing the scale of a bar graph. Suppose they try to draw a bar taking 1 unit length is equal to 100 TV. They thus obtain lengths of bar and attempt to draw a bar graph. Even though they succeed to form the bar graph correctly, but due to the length of the bars being too small, they face a lot of difficulty while drawing the bars. Here, we observe that all the numbers of multiples of 10. So, we can take 1 unit length is equal to 10 TV. This will give us the length of the bars. Therefore, in this way, we can easily draw a bar graph. Mistake 2. Some students fail to label the horizontal line and vertical line of the bar graph. Similarly, they fail to write scale. Apparently, they do not consider it important enough to label the lines or write the scale, or they simply forget to write them. Due to such simple mistakes, it becomes difficult to obtain the desired information from a bar graph. Therefore, it is necessary to show the scale on the bar graph as well as the proper names of what is being taken on the horizontal and vertical lines. Mistake 3. Some students fail to maintain a uniform width while drawing a bar. Similarly, some students fail to keep a uniform distance between the bars. We should keep in mind that the bars are of uniform width and that there is a uniform distance between the bars. Today we saw some misconceptions and common mistakes related to a bar graph.